Shalom, Mashpaka. Good to see y'all here today. Y'all see I've been putting in a little bit of work behind the scenes, trying to make sure everything is good. I've been putting in a lot of work behind the scenes, fam. All right, good to see y'all today. Sister Naomi, I hope that you staying warm out there in the storm you told me y'all was going through. Let me go ahead and get this set up for you. And I'm finna go ahead and get started. All right. We ready now. We are ready. Oh boy. There we go. All right. There we go. All right, fam. So let me go ahead and pull this thing up for you. I'm gonna be looking over a couple of books today. All right. And what you see before you is Job. Shalom for your consciousness. Ayay awake. Aman, aman, aman. I hope y'all stay for the consummation of what I'm gonna be talking about today, and enjoy the music that I have set up for y'all in the background after it's over. The name what you see today, that's Job, all right? And that's Job chapter 1, that's Yiqwaba, all right? I like to show a Hebrew before I'm starting to get into that practice of trying to start to show Hebrew every time, to keep our people in remembrance of who we are as a people. And then I'm finna go ahead, as custom, get into the message. All right. So make sure that y'all get this book. I'll put it underneath the chat. I also put, I mean not the chat, but when the video is over, I put it in the description underneath the video. This book here, this is the Hebrew Bible written in Paleo Hebrew. And right here, this is the book that was written in the 1800s, and I had this book pulled up for a reason. And right here, you could download, you could go online and look this book up. It's called Bible Hub. And if you hover with it, I put that in there as well if you don't. But you can look that up, fam. So I don't think I will have to do that. And then we're going to go, and continue where we left off at. And I had wrote it wrong last time. That's the ox head, ah, and tha. And it's supposed to be a ha right here. But I forgot how to write the ha. I'm going to go here and show y'all the ha. That's the ha right here. And it symbolizes horizon. All right? Ha. This letter right here symbolizes horizon. So let me go ahead and write that for our learning's sake. Let me get my pen out and write the ha. Excuse my handwriting. I know my handwriting ain't good on this PC, but that's the ha. All right. Alrighty. So I'm finna go ahead and read this right here to you. Let me save that. All right. And there's a reason why I pulled up that 1800 book. All right, this is information about your Bible, your Bible, the Apocrypha. All right. The Apocrypha is a selection of books which are published in the original 1611 King James Bible. These apocryphal books were positioned because remember I told y'all apocryphal means hidden. I'm finna show y'all. Books were positioned between the Old and the New Testament. That's what they call it. But it is the covenant and the renewed covenant. It also contains maps, genealogies. See what they hid from you? Maps and genealogies. The apocryphal was a part. You see that word apocryphal? And you see that maps and genealogies? Apocryphal was a part of the KJV for 274 years until being removed in 1885. Just because they put AD, that means after Christ. And we're living in AD. We're living in 2024 AD. Removed in 1885 AD. A portion before Messiah is BCE, all right, or BC. 1885 AD. A portion of these books were called Deuteronomical books by some entities, such as the Catholic Church. And we've been doing our studies on the Catholic Church and the origin of the people that started that religion of Christianity, and Catholicism is the mother of all of the churches that we are going to now today. If a lot of us still go, Baptist, Presbyterian, all of them. But they all took they took from this place, from that place, from over here, from over there. And they also, the Bible comes from the Afro-Asiatic people. All right. Yasharal. Deuteronomical books by some entities, such as the Catholic Church. So that's the Italians, Portuguese, Spanish. Many claim the Apocrypha. That's why you see a lot of Spanish people are Catholics. Italy, Italians, and Portuguese. All right. Many claim the Apocrypha should never have been included in the first place, raising doubt about its validity, and believing it was not God inspired. For instance, a reference about magic seems inconsistent with the rest of the Bible. Tobit. Now, Tobit wasn't talking about magic, but if you get this book, you can read it for yourself. They say Tobit chapter 6, verses 5 and 8. That was medicine. But y'all can look that up and fact check what I'm saying. Tobit was doing medicine. He's a doctor. Others believe it is valid and that it should never have been removed. That it was considered part of the Bible, which it was, for nearly 2,000 years, but longer than 2,000 years before it was recently removed a little more than 100 years ago. Some say it was removed because of not finding the books in the original Hebrew manuscripts. See, that's why they say it was removed. Others claim it wasn't removed by the church, when it definitely, they go to Catholic Church right there, they removed it. Some say it was removed because of its not finding books in original Hebrew manuscripts. You got something for that. Others claim it wasn't removed by the church, which it was, as we clearly saw, but by printers to cut costs in distributing Bibles in the United States. That's not true. Besides tend to cite the same verses that warn against adding or subtracting from the Bible. Remember, we studied that Sapar scrolls. Sopar Yam. Revelation, the 22nd chapter and the 18th verse, the word apocryphal means hidden. See that? Hidden. Fragments of Dead Sea Scrolls dating back before 70 AD. They found Dead Sea Scrolls dating back before 70 AD. Our ancestors hid the scrolls. They were burning the books and stuff inside of the temple. So our ancestors, fleeing out of the land, hid the scrolls in the caves in Qumran. The Qumran scrolls, they hid them. Apocryphal means hidden. Fragments of Dead Sea Scrolls dating back to before 70 AD, way past 2,000 years ago, contain parts of the apocryphal books in Abar, Hebrew, Abar, including Sirach, which is called the Book of Wisdom, and Tobit source. Keep in mind, when regarding the following apocryphal books, Martin Luther said, apocrypha, that is, books which are not regarded as equal to the Holy Scriptures, yet are profitable and good to read. When you learn who this guy was, okay, and so they're going to show you the books. King James Version is showing, and I'm going to show you, we're going to go back and read about the people. We're going to look, matter of fact, we can check over at the Negro race in America, and it's something I want to show you in that in correlation to this, because this is in 1800s when that apocryphals was taken out. We're going to show you the state of the Negro to see if people had good moral character back then. All right. Books of the apocryphal: First Esdras, Second Esdras. We're going to talk about what was going on with people religiously. Got to check the character, check the fruit. First Esdras, Second Esdras, Tobit, Judith, Editions of Esther, Wisdom of Solomon, Ecclesiasticus, Baruch, Letter of Jeremiah, Prayer of Azariah, Susanna, Bel and the Dragon, Prayer of Manasseh, First Maccabees and Second Maccabees. These books were removed from your scrolls, family. So y'all can, once y'all get this book or go online, y'all will see this King James Bible version, KJV, and I told you got to look it up as Bible Hub, and you'll see it is a red book with the apocrypha in it. Let me go over here. History of the Negro race in America from, look at the time, 1619 to 1800s. Negroes as slaves, as soldiers, and as citizens, together with a primary consideration of the unity of, they put human being because our people speak English now, human family, which means Homo sapien, but I don't think they knew. Family, the hairless monkey family, a historical sketch of Africa, an account of the Negro governments of Syria, Leone, and Liberia. So at that time, we had a place where we could go out of America called Sierra Leone. Shalom for your consciousness. Exactly. By George W. Williams, first colored member of the Ohio legislature and late judge advocate of Grant Army of the Republic of Ohio, I can't hardly see it, ECT. Popular edition, 2 volumes in 1. New York and London. G.P. Putnam's sons. The y'all can look up these publishing companies. Knickerbocker Press, 1885. All right. History of the Negro race. Let me go down. And if y'all were willing, I'll share this too with y'all. Let me read to y'all the preface. I'm not going to read the book because I want y'all to go into it and read it yourself. This is the preface. And this is the mission for this book. And I want y'all to read what a man that lived during the time of slavery and that saw all of what was going on behind the scenes working in the government. And he's a Negro. And he called himself a colored man because there were times when we call ourselves colored people. In South Africa, there are people that call themselves the colored people. So let's look at this. And missions now that he can contribute something towards the improvement of the condition of humanity, of hairless apes. Editors and writers everywhere throughout the world will spell the word Negro. So I told y'all we was known as Negroes as well. And that's show you the involvement of Spain and Portugal and Italy with this situation. And if you look at, let me pause for a little bit. If you look at this word Negro, you're going to match up these people with things that will impose on the people, family. We're going to look up things with the people that was imposed on the people. So what I'm going to look at is I'm going to look at the deities that they worship, the nations that did it, the year that they did it. And I might not can show that on my screen right now because it was my own private research, but I'm going to tell you, and you can write these things down and go and research it for yourself. All right. Don't just take what I'm saying as a fact without researching it, but I want you to hear it. And then I want you to write these things down. And you can fact check everything I'm saying. And then if I lack in an area, you can help me grow. We can grow together. All right. Spell the word Negro with a capital N. Now look at what this elder is saying. And when I say this, people that want to say that we are black people, they ignore what I'm saying. Why is they capitalizing B? B is a color. And I'm going to show you that our ancestors back then did not see themselves as that's their tribe and that's their name. All right. And when referring to the race as colored people, employ a capital C. Look at what the elder is saying. He sleep now. He one of the ancestors now. Not that we pray to our ancestors. We're not no necromancer. Okay. The word that we covered on the other day, Yiqwaba, we're not one of them. And that's not what Allah commanded us to do. And when referring to the race as colored people, employ a capital C. I trust this will be observed. So he's saying, I want you to observe. This is what one of the ancestors, which will be an elder, if he was still living today, he'll be how old he'll be. I trust this will be observed in part 2. I think that's part 2. Slavery, because I don't know how to read them Roman number things, what they put up there for the clock. I never knew how to do that. Slavery in the colonies. Look at what he called it. Look at what the elder said. Slavery in the colonies. And if anybody want to go and debate him and try to mock him and all that, this man is asleep. So you're going to have to go to the man gravestone and talk to and be a necromancer. Not saying that he finna get up, but that's a transgression right there in itself. I have striven to give, and he was a witness of his suffering. I have striven to give or being a witness of the suffering because he lived during that time. I have striven to give a succinct account of the establishment and growth of slavery under English crown. Now, he and many other of our people that learned how to read, oh boy, and it wasn't safe for you to learn how to read back then, that learned how to read, that wrote down stuff so that people would get a eyewitness account of what was going on. Because a lot of people try to discredit history and pretend as if we are speaking out of presumption. Presumption means a made up thing that we are portraying as truth. Anything that is against the truth is a presumptuous endeavor. It involved almost infinite labor. You can look up that word too, presumption. It is involved almost infinite labor. Labor means work. Because I know a lot of people play with words, and I know we understand words, but sometimes when people lie so much, and because of the situation that we're being in, because people are told so many tales, it will entail you. It is a healing to you, even if you graduated with honors in college and know how to speak English backward and forward like the back of your hand. When you dealing with post-traumatic slave trauma, it will behoove you to go back and look at words again, because sometimes it's not that we don't believe, we're fighting against a mental impairment that came upon us as a people due to the fact of centuries of lies against history. And also, I would also presume that there are many European people that may suffer with this somewhat within themselves, that they were raised up wrong to believe that these things are imagination, that history is imagination or hiding from the truth. But we know the truth, a lot of us, but we are afraid of the truth in our people. It involved almost infinite labor to go to the records of the original 13 colonies. Now, when he say infinite labor, a lot of people, he lied in order to mock you. You got to know when somebody mocking you. We know that, but I'm finna call a spade a spade. People say a lot of stuff out of mockery towards the truth. They don't want to like the truth. So when this person say infinite labor, they're speaking with expressive expression. All right, and expression is a part of English. Even when you look inside of the oldest language on the earth, they speak with expression as well. They wrote with expression. All right, when you read the Psalms of Dawud, he spoke with expression. He was not saying that people was fast. What was a phrase that would be used in the scripture? When Messiah said that people were brood of vipers. Brood of vipers. All right, he wasn't literally calling them his snake creation. He was saying that they had the nature of a snake, and that is also an expression. When he wept, it said, Yarashalayam, Yarashalayam, you who stone and kill all of the Nabayathwa that I sent unto you. How can you be saved? How can you be saved? And then he said in that very same phrase, and you shall be scattered. You shall be scattered. And that was him prophesying because of the wisdom that Elohim has, and that he imparted unto his son, who came from eternity. Y'all revealed to him everything except when he gonna return. Not even the angels know. The messengers know. It involved almost infinite labor to go to the records of the original 13 colonies. Look at this right here. The original 13 colonies. It is proper to observe that this part is one of great value and interest. In part 3, I think, the Negro during the Revolution, I found much of an almost romantic character. Many traditions have been put down. Many traditions, because people say, oh, y'all lying, talking about y'all had traditions. Y'all ain't got no culture. You never had now. You was always a slave. You was a Negro. You was a color. Get over yourself. Many traditions have been put down, and many obscure truths elucidated. And many, even back then, and many obscure truths elucidated. Now you think about that right there and what has been going on since we've been alive. Just think back, even though the Black Lives Matter was, I believe, was a COINTELPRO operation. Even now, that was being done. Many obscure truths elucidated. Look at right now how they trying to say that homosexuality is our identity. Many traditions have been put down. You save that. My bad. Coming back. Can y'all see what's going on? And that's the book right there. History. I had to save it, but this is a good thing I did so I can show y'all. History, and this is from a real book. History of the Negro race. And I'm finna show you that the brother signed it. I think that's Bancroft Library, University of California, Berkeley. I ain't read in cursive in a long time, and I think they stopped doing that in school. Cursive. Class of 1887. All right, let me show y'all that he signed this book. Let me show y'all he put his signature in here. A signature was a copyright back then. All right, it shows who that person is. History of the Negro race in America. And I'm finna show you he signed it. When you back then, when you did artwork, and even now today, when you sign your name under artwork, and this is a drawing of him. When you do artwork, and somebody must have sat down and drew him. Or it might be an old screenshot, I don't know. But this is his signature right here. This is him. He wrote this book, so this book is authentic. History of the Negro. Now let me go back down there to the preface where I saved it at. Some persons may think it irrelevant. Ooh, look at what this elder said. Some persons may think it irrelevant. That's how we say it now. We say irrelevant. But they said back then irreverent to tell the truth in the plain. So look at what he say. So he's showing you the state of this people. All right. Now, just because, now I'm going to say this to you. Just because, let's say, how can I say this about nature? Just because back in the day when I was preaching Christianity and saying let people spit in your face and your identity ain't important and stuff back then, and I repented because when I got the knowledge of it and I started repenting around 2015 or 16 and started repenting, just because I started repenting then, that does not elude the fact that I need to turn around and 7 times more go back and tell people the truth. And it's not that I'm supposed to go back and say, oh, that hurt my feelings. It was something bad in the past, so therefore it hurt me every time you bring it up. You're being a race baiter. No, that's not being a race baiter. That's somebody that's trying to tell the truth. And if you was teaching falsely back then and you trying to teach correctly now today, that's somebody that's trying to follow after the way, the truth, and the life. And in a sense, it is an amendment to the hearts of the people when they hear it. Even though I can be forgiven from y'all, I still have to go back. If somebody planted watermelon inside of a garden and I went out there and I threw some squash inside of there and the squash started growing up, and I throw weeds out there and the weeds started eating up a lot of the plants and stuff, sucking up all the nutrients and stuff, just because I did that back then. And that person got to go out there and fix something that's about 200 yards of plants that I messed up. And I come to you and I say, I apologize for that. I messed up your harvest. And I don't think that I have to give back to you. I don't think that I have any work to do, because when you bring it up, I done changed now. I'm not doing that to other people. I'm not even doing that to you no more. But you out there trying to pull up all these weeds and pull up all this stuff. You didn't want to harvest that. Now you got squash inside of there, and now you got something else inside of there. You may want to turn around and say thank you for the squash. But how can you say thank you for the squash and they done put all this stuff inside of there and they refuse to come inside of your garden and help you dig up the roots of all those weeds that they put inside of there? So just because you did something in the past does not mean that it is nothing that you are supposed to address in the present. Especially if it's an ongoing thing, and especially if it's something that you need to tell your children so that they can know the history of the garden. Homely manner that characterize my narrative. But while I have nothing to regret in this particular, I can assure them that I have been actuated by none other spirit than that of candor. While I have used documents, it was with a desire to escape the charge of superficiality. So he was saying that his book was not superficial, all right? And he said that he's writing these things to show that his stuff is real, that his stuff is authentic. And one would feel like, why do I have to apologize for this? I'm a Negro. I'm considered as a Negro. I'm considered as a color. All right. If, however, I may be charged with seeking to escape the labor incident to thorough digestion, I answer that while men with reputation of Bancroft and Hildreth could pass unchallenged. See, look at this right here, what he said. Men like Bancroft and Hildreth could pass unchallenged when disregarding largely the use of documents. So it was people back then. Think about this, family. Think. People back then like Bancroft and Hildreth that could, so look up them names, Bancroft and Hendrith, could pass unchallenged when disregarding largely the use of documents and the citation of authorities. So it was people back then that can not have to worry about this right here, but between the police, the sheriff, the slave catchers. I would find find myself challenged by a large number of critics. Moreover, I have felt it would be almost cruel to mutilate some of the very rare old documents that shed such peerless light upon the subject in hand. So when I read to y'all about the Apocrypha, right? And when I'm speaking to you about the studies that we've been doing, let's keep this in mind. All right. So we're not trying to say that the documents that the Catholic Church and them found, or whoever found it in the Qumran scrolls, is unauthentic or nothing like that. We're just trying to show the listeners or the hearers, or even the readers, if y'all reading this stuff up on the screen, that these things that we're bringing to you are coming from an authentic place. And I used something back in the 1800s. All right. And so you remember, if this brother was going through this in the 1800s, can you imagine what the brother that wrote that book in the 1700s was going through with, when he was writing down our history? And you remember during that time how that was being filibustered and blocked and all that by those who were in authority. And also there was some abolitionists back then from the other community of the seed of Japheth. So now let's go inside of the book of Josephus again. And let's brief on what we covered. We talked about Yiqwaba, Europe, which is his son. And if that's his son, then all these other people that's from the nations of the north are kindred to them. They're of that bloodline. All right. And so we're going to look at some of the names that maybe we have heard them say that they are. The Gauls, the Galatians, derived from the Greeks, called them Galatians. Europe to Cadiz and settled themselves in a land which was light upon, which had inhabited before. They called the nations by their own names. For Gomer, see Gomer, the Grecians called them the Gauls, but were then called Germites. Now, this book was written exactly, this man right here lived during the time, and he was an eyewitness of the temple's destruction. Now, like I said before, the only way that you finna go back and debate this man is you're gonna have to get inside of a time machine car, like off of that movie, like off of that movie that came out when I was growing up. It was a movie that came out. It was called there was a actor in there called Marty, a white kid. He was a kid back then, and that movie was called Back from the Future. All right, you had to get inside of that to go in there, or you had to go inside the movie and try to jump inside of the TV screen, like the Tyler Perry movie when he turned into a cartoon. You had to jump inside the TV screen. I'm being sarcastic. You had to jump inside the TV screen and jump inside the cartoon inside of the TV show that used to come on TBN called Superbook, and travel back in time in order to look at Josephus, if they ever made an episode about Josephus. I'm being sarcastic. but where they're called Germites, all right? Magog. So now we're looking at Magog. Now that was Gomer, who were called the Gauls. Magog, and they are kinfolk of Japhet. They got the same blood of Japhet through him, and all through all of them got the same blood of Japhet, but they got their own Y chromosome haplotypes per nation. But they all have the Y haplotype of Japhet because they all come from his house, from his tent, where he is, well, Yahweh is the foundation of all of us, but he put Japhet as a foundation for them as a family, all right, and their mothers. Japhet, all right, and now we go to Germites. Magog founded those that were from him were named Magogites, but who are by the Greeks, look at the Greeks, called Scythians. So you see here, Gomer is called the Gauls by the Greeks and the Galatians and the Germites. Magog is called the Scythians by the Greeks. They're the sons of Japhet. Now Yawan, which is the father of the nations that made up that Greek empire, Yawan and Madai. Look at this, Yawan and Madai. Madai is the father of the Asian races from Japhet. So who is the Asiatic? Who is the Afro-Asiatic then? We covered that. We covered that. It was Israelites scattered everywhere. Now look at Yawan and Madai. These are from Japhet. Madai, which is the Asian races. You know, the one that got the Asian hate crime bill? Yawan and Madai. They come from the same bloodline. The sons of Japheth from Madai came the Medians. That's the Medes. So that's the Medes. So when you look in the Bible and you see the Medes, think about that. Asian hate crime bill. The Greeks, but from Yawan, Ionia, and all the Grecians are derived Tharbel. So Yawan, Ionia. So when you see that Ionia, you think about Yawan and Madai, all right? And all the Grecians are derived. Thobel founded the Thobelites, who are now called Ibiris. Ibiris. What that sound like they trying to call themselves? Hebrews? Ivries? But they come from Japheth. But it say Ibiris. And Mosakim, who were founded by Mosak, now they are, see how they changed the names? Cappadocians. So when you read inside the Bible about the Cappadocians, they come from Japheth. There is also a mark of their ancient denomination still to be shown. And this was at the time of Josephus writing this book right here. This is what it was called. And he's telling you of the knowledge of the timeline then. For there is even now among them a city called Mazakah. So he's spilling the beans, which may inform those that are able to understand that so was the entire nation once called Thyras, also called those whom he ruled over Thyrasians. So if Japhet them, this Greeks ruled over you, you were called Thyrasians. All right. So one would wonder, then how do we conceive that we should understand that why we were being called Afro-Asiatics? All right. Yep. Back to the future. Thyrasians. And we were being called Afro-Asiatics. So who was we being ruled over? Them. All right. But the Greeks changed the name into Thracians. Now that sounds similar to Puerto Rican to me. I don't know, but But we gonna see why. We gonna see a difference. But let's see. Keep on reading. The name into Thracians. The Greeks changed the name into Thracians, and so many were the countries. So I see how they changed the people name that had the children of Yiqwaba. So many countries that had the children of Yiqwaba. All right. So wherever Yiqwaba at, you seeing these names popping up. For their inhabitants of the three sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and they name changed to Ashkenaz and then changed to Germans, founded the Ashkenazians, and in modern day they call them the lost Jews. All right, that returned back to the land, like I told y'all on the last broadcast, in the 1940 something, who are now called by the Grecians Rehaganians. Now, an empire, when you see it say empire, empires are like from like, so if you got to be from Japheth to be a part of this dynasty, you got to be from Japheth to be a part of this dynasty. So when Daniel was showing Nebuchadnezzar the statue, and he was showing from the beginning of their dynasty to the end of their dynasty, he said that Nebuchadnezzar is King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So over all of their dynasty, Nebuchadnezzar is the King of their kings and the Lord of their lords. All right, the ruler of their rulers. So Nebuchadnezzar sit at the top of the statue, and all the way down when you get to the iron and the clay. I see you, sister. Or when you get to the iron and clay, you start seeing how this thing, how Daniel was saying, how he seen it. And just like Daniel said, it happened. And it happens. It happens and it happened. All right. Greek, Raganians, so did Ryapath, found the Raphians, now called Papalagonians, and Thargamians, who as the Greeks resolved were named Phrygians. Of the three sons, Yawan, also the son of Yiqwaba, which means you're beautiful or you're handsome. Elysia, that's what Nach named him. Elysia gave name to the Eliasians. Now, notice when I said Yapa means beautiful or handsome, or good looking, right? I didn't say Laban. I didn't say Shahar. I didn't say Hawam. I didn't say none of that. I said Yapa means beautiful. So when you know that old saying, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So every nation had their own norms of what is beautiful. So when you read the side of the Songs of Solomon, and he said, you're black and you're beautiful, he wasn't saying that because they racist. He was saying that because where they was, beauty standard was that having very, very dark skin was beautiful. And I want to say this to the sisters and the brothers. Remember where your compliments came from, because some people will use those compliments in order to satisfy something that is apart from the original intent of the compliment. I believe that when the elders told the young men to pull up their pants, it was a form of them showing them that you are a man. Because back then, that's why we always used to say man, because we always was treated like boy. Or when they say, hold your head up, young man, and pull up your britches. He was trying to show him a form of masculine endearment. All right. And when they said to the sisters, baby, don't wear your skirt that short. When you realize what we went through as a people, see, a lot of our people, they take their clothes off. But when you realize what we went through as a people, when you hear somebody that come through a lineage of people that done been bucked and forced to be bed wenches and stuff like that, and when they say, baby, that your slip is too high. That was a form of endearment. That was a feminine form of endearment. Or when I told somebody that I was gonna say something about this, that was a form of endearment. Okay. Or when the brothers in these days, at a positive sense, when we said to our sisters, y'all are beautiful, y'all don't need all that in y'all head, some people took it and they made it to slander you. So there's an opposite effect that happened with everything. Now some people say beautiful black queens, and then they turn around and say we swirling and we're beautiful black queens, we don't need no NIGGER and all that type of stuff. The original intent of the compliments, the original intent of those words were taken so far out of context. All right. So when you look at these words, we're trying to get back to the context of history, the context of reality, apart from a reality that's based on fictional beliefs or slanderous connotations. And so what? So when you hear me say nigga, I am not calling you NIGGER like some people are doing to slander you. I'm saying that back to its original intent to show you that in Latin, nigga means black. And some people that are white, that's from the seed of Japhet, that they say they abolitionists. I believe that the reason that a lot of them say Niger is because they don't want to say nigga. All right, to be slanderous. And some people pop out the blue and calling you nigga, and they calling you black in a loud manner. But that's just a skin color, like the elder was showing us, like the elder said over here. All right, so let me go back over here. The sign of which is this, that the noblest city they have, and a metropolis, also is Tarsus and Tau, being by change, but for the Tata. So look at this, the Tau being by change. Now this is Josephus writing this now. A historian, a scholar, the Tau, and he's from way back. He lived and actually he lived during the time when the apostle Yachanan was alive. You know, the one that walked with Hamashiach, he lived during that time. This is what we reading what he wrote down. All right. Being by change, put for the Tata. Now, so you see how some of our people say, if you didn't live back during that time when hip hop was being formed and created with all the turntables, or if you weren't back there during that time when they was doing rap inside of prison, when they was rapping, putting down train tracks, if you didn't live back during those times, or if you didn't live during the time when if you ain't lived during the time when the first rappers in the 1960s was coming out, or in the 1950s, or in the 70s, if you weren't about that time, you can only go by the people that was there, right? There are eyewitnesses to that, and anything that will differ from that, those people would have to come in like this brother did right here and lay down some dialogue. All right, and write down the truth. All right, so let's go back to Josephus. Kethamus possessed the island Gethemia. It is also called Cyprus. I'm not saying this because y'all don't know nothing. I'm just got to go through this, and it's helping me just to hear it. And from that it is that all islands and the greatest part of the seacoast are named Kithim by the Hebrews. So when you look inside of your Hebrew Bible and you see the letter of the Abar, the letter to the Abars scattered abroad in Khatayam, that is in Rome. And when you know the archaeology, which was hidden from you in the apocryphal maps and the genealogies and all that, when you look inside of that and you see Kittim or Rome or Khatayam or Kitty, when you look in there and you look at the maps, you will see that where this place was at, where these places is at, you can look at the modern names on the map and look at the like we did in school. They showed us what is Florida. I had Wyoming. My mama, my brother and sister, we came up with an idea, right? We say we're gonna learn our states in America. Mine was Wyoming. All right. I had to learn how to spell it. I had to learn, and this is what we was doing as little children. Me and my big sisters and my little brother. My baby sister was too young, or she probably wasn't born yet to know how to do this. But we would sit down. My brother would get somewhere on the map, Texas or whatever he got, or my other sister. My brother name is Antoine, and I had my other sister, two big sisters, Adrian and Shanita. They had a place, they had to pick animals or whatever, and mama would grade us, and I think she gave us a flip or something, or we got to pick something we wanted to eat or whatever. She rewarded us. We came up with the idea, and she liked it, and we started working on it. All right. So when you look on the map, you can if you take the name off of the map, you, like when you putting the puzzle together, you could push that place in there. You can look at the shape of the map if they don't have a name on it and try to place it. All right. So this is what I'm trying to explain to y'all. Just because they changed the name, they go and mold the earth with their hands over the seashore? Is their hand that big where they can scratch their hand and push the water over and move it over here and move Katayam out of it and push it over to the other place? So you have to go back to the places and look at the map. And that's why when they hide these maps for you and they took them names off of there, if you was studying this information and you was not the one that was given the permission or the one that was privy to be able to read or whatever, you weren't able to go and search this out. And so through a long custom, we have learned to disassociate ourselves from actually reading. Most of us, we just been briefing over stuff. We haven't really been reading to understand. We understand, but we don't understand. We're not reading to understand. Sister Deborah came and she showed that the word smart, and she was doing different things. So y'all, we have to really start reading, because we're not reading if we're not reading. So you see a word in Hebrew and you looking at to see what it means in German. That's okay if you studying it like that, but go to the root meaning of the word. Just like what they say. What is the root meaning of a math problem? All right. What is the root number? Right. You gotta know your root number. You gotta know your root meaning. All right. The root meaning comes from the ancient, from the oldest one. That's your root meaning. All right. Our name, Kithium, by the Abars. So the root way to say this is Abar. And you want to know what Abar mean? You got to go back older. The further you go back, the more you'll understand it. All right. So if you go to Aramaic, you got a clearer understanding than the one that was written in the Aramaic block letters. You go to the ancient Aramaic, you'll get a clearer understanding than the Aramaic block letters. If you go to Abar Lashon, then you'll get a real clear understanding. But you have to have the cultural mindset in that. So that's why we got to study culture and all that. The one city there is Cyprus that has been able to preserve its denomination. So he's saying, look, they was able to preserve their denomination. And one city there is in Cyprus that has been able to preserve its denomination. Denomination. Look at that. Denomination. Kithium. Denomination. What do they mean by that? It has been called Citius by those who use the language of the Greeks. So Greek is not a bar, and has not, by the use of that dialect, escaped the name of Kittim. So because of the dialect of the Greeks and by their letters, one was not able to escape the name of Kittim. But when you look inside of your Bible translation, some of them still have it as Kittim. That is, you're being Hellenized. It's still being Hellenized because you're learning to speak like the Greeks. And that is a part of being a Hellen. So a lot of our people is being Hellenized by English with Greek customs. We've been Hellenized by Spanish, by Greek custom. We've been Hellenized by wherever we at, by whatever custom. And so many nations have the children and the grandchildren of your path possessed. Look at what he say. And so many nations have the children and grandchildren of your path possessed. Now, when I have premised somewhat, which perhaps the Greeks do not know, I will return and explain what I have omitted. For such names are pronounced here after. So he said when he learned something that he did not know. So what should we be doing? Right now we living in a latter day, right? We're living farther past that. He was living during the destruction of the iron. We're living in the iron and clay. And there's more that the Greeks have done that he didn't know. So what we talking about is that these same nations of people that come from Europe, that come from the nations of the north, now call themselves white people, and some of them call themselves by other names or mix themselves in and call themselves Afrikaners and all type of stuff. So we going into this, we cannot go in pretentiously unless we want to teach people not to know. Unless you're not teaching, you're brainwashing people. You're propagandizing people's mind. If you're not going to tell the truth, the best thing to do is to let the liars lie and let the ones going to tell the truth. But when a lie's being refuted, the person that's getting angry is angry because the lie has been refuted. I will return and explain what I have omitted. For such names are pronounced here after the manner of the Greeks, to please my readers, so that the readers can understand. For our own country language does not so pronounce them. So y'all see that? So when people try to get you to be stuck with saying Dios, or being stuck with saying the English word God, or being stuck with saying the English name JESUS, when they trying to get you being stuck with that, that's not the purpose of translation and transliteration. Translation is when you translate the meaning of a thing or the meaning of a name, if in that language that name has a meaning, which I will say in English your name has no meaning. But in your language, the meaning of a name, if it's translated, if Yahweh Shah is translated, he salvation. Or in Yahweh name, he exists, he lives. Now, if you do a translation of the sound of the name, which is a way to translate something, you are pronouncing it to the best of your ability using the letters that is afoot to you in order to get the sound as close as you can to the source language, right? So when you pronounce it, you say Yahweh Shah. All right, so in English, we have letters that is able to pronounce his name Yahweh Shah. So just because we're using English letters, we're not saying that we're not speaking our bar. We're not using the source language original letters, but we're using English letters to get the pronunciation of those letters. So when they use those Assyrian block letters, they have to put the Nakud and different stuff on there to try to get it to sound like something. So when you see it say Jesus, they trying to get it closer to the Greek Iesus. But the Abar people, when they spoke in the Abar Lashon, it didn't say he spoke it in and said Jesus. It said they spoke in the Abar Lashon. But the English people still translated it with Lord and God. So they're showing you that there's a purpose on why they put God. And when you read what we read the other day, it said that they had that removed. They had that name, they had Yahweh's name removed, and titles were put up over his name. Anybody can be a Lord. Anybody can be called a God. But Yahweh has a name. Does not so pronounce them. But the names in all cases are of one and the same ending. For the name we were here pronounced, Noeas, is their Noah. So they're trying to show you when they pronounce Noeas, they talk about Noah. And in every case retains the same termination. The children of Ham possessed the land from Syria. So if English has no meaning, what I'm trying to say, in order for you to understand, let me say this. English has no meaning. So let me say something. There are some words in English, can. What does that mean? So we see there's some, because they did studies with the Yiddish, that there one pronunciation of a word can mean another thing, can. And when you say a can of rice or a can of beans, the children of, they say ham. Now, what does ham mean in English? When you go inside the grocery store, what does ham mean when you go in the grocery store? It doesn't mean no group of people. It can mean pork chop. The children of Ham. So in English, they name. So let me say it like this here. When that guy was trying to create the light bulb, and the other guy came and made a better design that keep the light bulb up for a longer period of time, they named it light bulb, right? So when it was first named, that's the name of the thing. So if you look on TV, when you see Walmart, in every language it says Walmart. When Joe Biden went live on the news, if it was seen in every country on the earth, they said Joe Biden, and they spoke their language introducing him. When a translator translate, they don't translate your name out of its a proper, the way that you speak it. So if somebody on Spanish channel was saying, my name is John Calvin, they spoke in Spanish and then they said John Calvin, Senor John Calvin, right? The children of Ham, not ham, pork chop, the children of Ham possessed the land from Syria and Armenius and a mountain of Lebanus and a mountain of Lebanus, seizing upon all that was on its sea coast. So we see here they talking about the children of Ham possessed the land from Syria and Armenius, and the mountains of Lebanus, seizing upon all that was on its sea coast. Now, the brother of the sons of Ham are not the sons of Japheth. The sons of Ham are not the sons of Japheth, seizing upon all that was on its sea coast, and as far as the ocean, Yawam, and keeping it as their own. So look at this right here. So the children of Ham possessed the land from Syria and Armenius, and the mountains of Lebanon, seizing upon all that was on its sea coast. And so he seized it as far as the ocean, and keep it as their own. Some indeed of its names are utterly vanished away, others of them being changed, and another sound giving them, are hardly to be discovered. Yet a few there are which have kept their denominations entire. So when you look up that word denominations, then you'll see different ones, right? For of the four sons of Ham, he didn't say the four sons of Japheth. We just covered Japheth and his lot of inheritance. Now we're going to talk about Ham. Time has not at all hurt the name of Cush. See, time has not at all hurt the name of Cush. For the Ethiopians, so look at what he said. Cush is the Ethiopians. And he said time has not at all hurt the name of Cush. For the Ethiopians over whom he reigned are even at this day. So look at this right here. For the sons of Ham, time has not all hurt the name of Cush. For the Ethiopians, Cush, for the Ethiopians over whom he reigned, so the Cushites reigned over the Cushites, even at this day, even till this very day. And our beloved sister on African Diaspora News Channel, which I see as a excellent representative of Cush, Ethiopia, Sister Wangel Zalelem, Wangel, she said that she is from the line of Cush, from the bloodline of Cush. Even to this day, the Ethiopians and Cush are interchangeable with each other, and they are from the lineage of Ham, and she knew that. Both by themselves and by all men in Asia. So look at this right here. Ham, time has not at all hurt the name of Cush, for the Ethiopians over whom, for the Cushites whom the Cushites reign over Cush, are even at this day, both by themselves and by all men in Asia. So all the people in Asia still knew them as Cush. They came from the seed of Ham. All the people in the land of Cush and of the bloodline of Cush knew them as Cushites from Ham, called Cushites. So the Ethiopians were called Cushites. The memory also of the Masoretes is preserved in their name. Masoretes is preserved in their name. For all who inhabit this country of Yiqwaba, called Egypt Misri. So look at what Josephus said. The memory of all the Misrites, I got it wrong, that's Egyptians, Misrites, not Egyptians, Misrites, is preserved in their name. The memory of also of the Misrites is preserved in their name. So the memory of the original Kemetic people is preserved in the name of Cush, because Cush is their brother, blood brother, even though they had to leave during the time of the Maccabees. For all who inhabit this, so like that's why I said the name of Europe shows you who all they is. This country of Yabada, called Egypt Misri. So they didn't call it. So and during the time of Josephus, all the people in Yabada called the name Masrai. And the Egyptians Misrians. So they called the ancient Masrayam. Okay. Foot also was the founder of Libya. Look at what he say now. Foot also was the founder of Libya. They are preserved and called the inhabitants of the Puttites from himself. So Foot was named Libya and called the inhabitants of the Puttites from himself. There also a river in the country of Moors, which bears that name. There's also a country of Moors, which bears that name. Now he ain't talking about Yapath of Moors, which bears that name. When it is that we may see the greatest part of the Grecian historiographers mention that river and the adjoining country by the appellation of Foot, but the name so the Moors is not Footites, but there is a place inside of the Moors country called Foot. But the name has been by change given it from one of the sons of Misraim, who also called Libyos. We will inform you presently what has been the occasion why it has been called Africa, also Canaan. Check this out. Why it has been called Africa, also Canaan. The fourth son of Cam inhabited the country now called Yiqwaba. Boom. And called it from his own name Canaan. The children of these four were these: Sabas, remember the CB tribe, very tall African tribe, who founded the Sabians. So when the scriptures say that when we are delivered, we're going to sell the people who put us as slaves to the Sabians, a very tall nation, far off, we're going to sell them to the Sabians, to a tall nation far off. The Sabians set up shop in a part of our country. So to say bees must not gonna be inhabiting and inheriting our inhabitants. So they must gonna be sold to the Sabians to their own inheritance. All right. And it's not like what they think it is, because I heard some people saying that's evil. They gonna sell us, mocking us. No, the same way that they want a job and to be treated right and to be treated fair in a kingdom that's ruled by a king that's gonna rule with a rod of iron, that ain't gonna let nobody get away with nothing. He ain't gonna have all that stuff that's been going on with our people in these countries. This is called setting something right, not being evil and vindictive, because that's not how Yahweh is. Who founded the Sabes, Evelas, who founded the Evilians, who are called Getuli, Sabbathis, founded the Sabbathians. They are now called by the Greeks Astaborians. See how they done changed their name? Sabbaticus settled the Sabbaticans, and Ragamus, the Ragameans, and he had two sons, the one of whom Judadas Yahabada settled the Judean. So look at this. Ragamus, the Ragameans, and he had two sons, the one whom Yadadas settled the Yadadayan, a nation of the western Ethiopians. So look at what he say. Ragamus, the Ragameans. So look at the Greeks. Astabeans settled and then they made the Ragamus. So let me read this carefully. Sabbathians, they are now called by the Greeks Astaborians. Sabakatas settled the Sabakatians, and the Ragamus, the Ragameans, and he had two sons, the one of whom Yadadas settled. So I'm gonna say it like they put it: the Judadas and the Judadians, a nation of the western Ethiopians, and left them his name, as did Sabas to the Sabians. But Nimrod, the son of Cush, listen, he talking about Ham here. So they call themselves Judadas and Judadians. Cush stayed and tyrannized at Babylon. As we have already informed you, now all the children of Misraim, being 8 in number, possessed the country from Gaza. So the Egyptians, the original ones, from Gaza, the dark ones, the real black ones, the ones that was mixing with the people that people replaced the original with the ones that's mixed, as if the other ones don't exist. When they doing their Western newspapers and stuff, countries from Gaza to Misraim to Egypt, though it retained the name. I'm not saying that the ones that they showing is not mixed with Egyptians. I'm not saying that. The name of one only, the Philistinian, for the Greeks called part of that country Palestine. So who named the country Palestine? The Grecians. As for the rest, Leudium. So when people keep telling us it is not called it, you is Hellenized. The Greeks, that's their part of their practice to change that to Palestine. So when you say that a person that say Yerushalayim and you say no, it's Palestine, that part of your mind has been Hellenized. The original way to say it is Yerushalayim. but they changed it. The Greeks changed it to Palestine. Now I'm finna read until 17, and then I'm finna get off of here. And Yahweh willing, I'll come back and I'll do this part. So let me mark this. I'm gonna read this part. Yahweh willing, I ain't got to do all today. So let me put the thought here. Thought. Let me go back and I can remember. All right. Yiqwaba right here. Yiqwaba right here. Thought. Which means sign. X marks the spot. Thought. All right, Mashpaka, I'm finna read this. Then we could get on up off of here. Hope that you're enjoying the message today. Thank you, fam. And Enemim and Labim, who alone inhabited in Libya. So look at this. And Enemim and Labim, who alone inhabited in Libya, and called the country from himself Nidim and Patharizim. You remember them names? You reading the Bible? And Chesalim and Kaparim. We know nothing of them besides their names for the Ethiopic war. So because of their war with the Ethiopians, they said they know nothing of them besides their name. But we do know that the people of Libya are Foothites. All right, fam. If that'll be all, thank y'all for coming. If y'all were willing, I'll make sure, I'll pray I remember to put that information inside of the underneath the video, so that you could get a good view of it. Mashpaka. And I want to say to you all, Shalom, thank you for coming. And I'm finna leave with the prayer that Yahweh taught us how to pray. And if I'm trying to stay humble. I know how to do the long Baptist prayers and all that, but I'm trying to stay humble in front of the people and not speak like that. So I'm just gonna say Yahweh's prayer, and if anybody want to try to defeat Yahweh's prayer by, oh, I can pray better than that, then that's up to you. Family, let's stay humble. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For yours is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. For yours is the kingdom, the country, the kingdom, the authority, and the glory forever, for eternity. Amen. I believe that. I agree with that. In Yahweh's name, Amen. Any questions, family? Any statements? Any other statements y'all would like to make? Did y'all enjoy yourself? All right. Is there anything that y'all wanted me to cover that I didn't cover? Is there anything that I skipped over that y'all wanted me to that y'all wanted me to answer or speak on? Is that yes? Is that a yes to my question, fam? Or are you saying that everything is everything? I want to say again to you, Sister Naomi, Shalom to you. Thank you for coming. Okay, fam. All right. Well, that is what it is. All right, fam. I want to say to you again, Shalom. Enjoy the rest of your day. Don't forget to go and show brothers and sisters love during y'all time here as we sojourn in these countries. And I want y'all to keep y'all head up, fam. And don't forget to stay into the end. And I'm not gonna play no new song. Maybe not. But I'll go ahead and drop this for you, all right? Shalom.
Revelation chapter 1. His head and his hands were white like wool, as white as snow. And his eyes were as a flame of fire. And his feet like as a fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace. And his voice is the sound of many waters. Got hit. Now we're doing things that don't make sense. It's like we power down begging for the pit. I guess it's cause so many people get it lit up. Set the fence, jail time is we set up. If you want to be successful, do you shut up and let up? Or give up on the family cause we get it wet up? Being pacified by delusion, with confusion as a resolution. Can we stop being prostituted by the beast? Start loving one another, knowing we the least. He said my sheep hear my voice and they follow me. Check out the other, it's a fox in the island. Hit the blind, they'll both fall in the ditch. But if the people who are called by the name of the Most High turn from their wicked ways, he can take away a switch. Better than the Christ, he can take away the stain in the whole stitch. And wash your mind from the lies that disguise in the doctrine of Willie Lynch. The bitch the brother gets a sister by the light in the dark skin color. Printed us a Negro slave Bible. Is your name Toby or Kente? Are we only born to be chattel slave? I pray you how you make me bold. It's an ought to be speaking loud. It's a cannon to the walls of Babylon fall down. I pray you how you make me bold. It's an ought to be speaking loud. It's a cannon to the walls of Babylon fall down. I pray you how you make me bold. It's an ought to be speaking loud. It's a cannon to the walls of Babylon fall down. I pray you how you make me bold. I pray you how you make me bold. It's an ought to be speaking loud. It's a cannon to the walls of Babylon fall down. I pray you how you make me bold. It's an ought to be speaking loud. It's a cannon to the walls of Babylon fall down. I pray you how you make me bold. It's an ought to be speaking loud. It's a cannon to the walls of Babylon fall down. I pray you how you make me bold. Yeah, they try to drop me from my faith. Throw me in that war, but guess who get the praise? How you got my back, and I ain't scared of none. They tryna knock me off, boy, I never run. I'm running for my king, and you can't stop it, man. I'm coming real strong, that you can't ignore. This is spirit battle, so put your flesh down. I'ma ride out on the devil head. I ain't never scared, watch me square up. Negro, we the people of the Bible. We done mess around and read them scrolls. We the kingdom of peace, let's go. Yahweh got a back, and we the strongest one. With God inside of us, we already won. Greater we see this within us, the heat that's in the well, and ain't no weapon formed against us ever gonna prosper. Your eyes ain't seen, or your ears have heard the things that Yah has prepared for his children. They ain't been determined, man, it's already written in the old covenant and the bit. How to shine, man. And we wait for the kingdom to come down for us to die in the sky. In the meantime, gotta keep the commandment. If we say we ain't seeing, we deceive ourselves, and the truth ain't in us, y'all say. Adults, not children. All these movements against you. Family should be more important. And yeah, for sure, I agree with you. Black lives do matter, but the lives don't. Do we hate the to the end. No trouble don't last always, and the sun gon' shine again.